Good morning, 7th graders. I hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to make a brief presentation for you just to go over a couple things with the extra credit assignment to say a little bit about Dante and one of the things for the reading today. So just talking a little bit about Dante. Dante is considered one of the greatest poets of all time. That's just from an absolute standard. Like most people involved in literature will admit that Dante is one of the greatest poets of all time. And the really cool thing about Dante is not only is he a great poet, but he is also a deeply Catholic poet. He's a great poet who is writing about the ideas of St. Thomas Aquinas and incorporating them into his poetry. So Dante originally wrote his poems in Italian. He was one of the first writers to move into the language of the people, Italian. Before that, poetry had been written mostly in Latin. So I've got a couple translations here. This one is by William Henry Wadsworth. It's a famous commentary, and it's got some pictures throughout of Dante going through purgatory, going through heaven, going through hell. I also have a newer translation by John Shardy. The one that you guys are going to have the opportunity to read is by Mendelbaum. And I just want to encourage you guys, if you want a couple extra credit points, I think you can earn 3 or 4 points off of that. It is a little bit difficult to read through, but look at the extra credit while you're reading through it. Go slowly. It's hard to read quickly just because the language isn't stuff that we're familiar with, number one. And number two, it's written poetically. So the words are difficult and it's poetically. But if you make it through it, you can get a couple points pretty easily. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys about, we're studying the Babylonian papacy, which is when the popes were moved out of Rome. They were basically kidnapped by the French, and from the year 1305 to 1307, or 1377, excuse me, they were stuck in France in this region called Avignon. And a cool piece of history tied to that today, there is a certain kind of French wine. It's called Chateauneuf de Pape, which means the house of the Pope. This is the only wine in the world that is allowed to print the papal crest on the wine bottle. And the reason for that is because it's right around Avignon. So when the popes were stuck in France, they actually began their own vineyards and made their own wine. And that wine today is Chateauneuf de Pape. The Pope doesn't own it anymore, but it still has the Pope's crest on it. I hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully I'll be able to see you guys soon, but stay safe and be healthy, guys. All right, take care.